All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So, I'm not a big fan of covering the same stocks over and over, but in all honesty, I gave these quantum tickers so much time and attention on the way up. I kind of feel it's a little bit of an obligation to look at it on the way down as well. All right, I always say I'm not here to be a fanboy account, right? I'm not going to pretend things are beautiful when they're not. I am very excited when things are beautiful, and I'm always here to step on the gas, especially when things look sustained. But when the worry comes, we have to be aware, we have to make a plan, and that's what I'm here to talk about, right? And today was a very interesting day. I'm going to cover the normal ones, all right? And I think the easiest thing that comes to my head is there's still a good amount of up and down and a good amount of disjointment across the tickers, right? We're looking at IONQ right now. It's a 6%, almost 7% day. You know I'm going to talk about the candle and the doji itself, right? But as I look at IONQ, as I look at QSI, this was at least trying to stay green. I see the candle right there. RGTI, I don't think was able to hold it at the end. It's an 11% drop. That golden line did as much as it could. And again, you know I'll talk about these, right? But again, when you're looking at a 7% gain on one and then an 11% lost on the other, instead of what should be either green all the way or red all the way, that disjointment generally bothers me. Because again, this is a sector review. The sector actually should be moving together, right? Again, I'll do a quick QBTS. This was a -5. QUBT. This was a -9, right? So it's a little odd to see how some are green, some are red. And I think that makes me lean one way or another on these dojis a little bit. But again, you know I'll give them the 50-50 respect that they deserve. And I'll talk about all those shortly, right? The other thing I'm going to talk about on these opening thoughts is the Jensen comments, all right? And hey, if you watched the live yesterday, you might want to fast forward because I'm kind of going to say the same things. Otherwise, I'm going to do my best to at least say it a little differently, but the same output, all right? So look, we talked about it immediately in the Discord, all right? And important. Listen, Jensen is a very important man, all right? And he is a very, very important voice. And if you don't know what happened, he basically said, look, I think quantum's going to take 15 or 20 years, okay? Look, in all honesty, I think he's correct. Like, quantum's going to take a lot of time. The one thing I made a simple reference to was 3D printing. All right. There was a time where I used to work for a tech company. I was invited to CES in those early, like 20-teen years, and I saw 3D printing. I saw DDD. I remember I saw SYSS Stussy, something like that. I forgot, whatever. There were booths with the people that are in the company, and they were real nice, and they were talking to anyone that went up there. And I'll tell you, I sincerely believed, and when I say that, I had money in the stocks. I really did, because again, I sincerely believed. I believed that 3D printers would be a way bigger thing than they are today. You know, I thought if I broke a glass, if I broke a plate, if I wanted to buy a new toy for someone as a birthday gift, I don't need to go anywhere. I would just 3D print it, right? And people would be selling their files. I would buy the files, I would buy the material. There you go, right? Instead, I'm still ordering on Amazon and whatever, right? So if 3D printing couldn't make the strides that I was expecting in basically a 10-year window, hey, truth be told, quantum might be as difficult. Now, some might argue, hey, the dollars were never put into 3D printing that are being put into quantum and this and that, and smarter people are working on quantum than 3D. Hey, you know, all that might be true. I think just the point is, really hardcore and important and good tech takes a long time. It really does, all right? But the Jensen point overall was, look, it wasn't Jensen that made all these stuff. Like, Jensen did not make this 40%, 39% IONQ, and like, it really wasn't him. It was the NASDAQ. And I'm going to go over the NASDAQ in the opening thoughts shortly, all right? But one thing I did say on the live was, look, if Jensen on this exact same day, if he did it exactly on this day right here, if he said, you know what, I'm putting my life savings in quantum because I believe in it so much, blah, 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 bull, right? Maybe it wouldn't have been a crazy 40% drop, but we would have still seen the drop. And again, to me, it's because of NASDAQ. All right, look at the 8 moving average here. It loses it, it tries, it fails. And not only the 8 but the 20. And you know that's more of a technical bad, right? That's more of a really uncomfortable downtrend potentially that's magnified by the fact that the Dow Jones DJ30, Dow Jones Industrial, has been a significantly worse downtrend on top of it, right? So I don't blame this dude. Jensen didn't do it. And really, his comments weren't like blasphemously wild and like preposterous. And really, it wasn't. Look, maybe that everyone is a giant capital incorrectly. Maybe everyone didn't know that. But yeah, I sincerely don't think he put new things on the table. In my eyes, it was NASDAQ. NASDAQ is far more important than an important voice like Jensen. All right. It is inevitable that all look, I love hunting, and I'm going to go back to IONQ because it's an easy one to look at, right? There was a while ago where IONQ had that nasty red, red, red that became a green, green, green that went back to red, red, red. I love going from red, red, red to green, 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 but believe me, it is inevitable that they will become red, red, red just before everything turns red and green. I sincerely do not. Hey, I'm just a guy. I'm just a dude talking in a microphone with an opinion. If you think I'm wrong, throw it in the comments, right? You know we're going to have an educated conversation. I'm not going to bash on your thoughts. Hopefully you don't bash on mine, right? But I really think people are overvaluing a really simple comment. He didn't say anything bad about IONQ. He didn't say Rigotti was a scam, and he didn't say I like this one more than that one, and anything like that. He just made a general comment, right? And that is a decent place, I think, for the opening thoughts. I'm gonna group all the quantum stocks together because look, the technical analysis is very driven on NASDAQ, okay? If NASDAQ can recover some lines, so will the tickers. And I'm going to talk about both sides of the coin. Look, this is just a single candle, right? We need a confirmation before we worry. But yeah, right now we're under the 50, right? So if we're going to lose the 50 and head to the 100, oh yeah, you got to believe so will those other tickers, right? If we can maybe get back, and it's funny, I keep lowering my number as I see more and more red candles, right? But I think at this point, if we can get a little closer to 19,475, if we can get to 19,500, that'd be really, optimistically bearish is what I would call it. I think I would maybe start to think we'll get another one of these kind of climb attempts, but yeah, I think I'm still overall a little concerned. I think just looking at the weekly, I think it makes sense that we've done it before. We ride the 8 beautifully, come to the 20, ride the 8 beautifully, come to the 20, ride the 8 beautifully. I think we're going to be coming down to the 20 over the next maybe week, 2 weeks. I have no idea, something along the lines of that, right? So that's kind of what I'm expecting on NASDAQ. If better things happen, it will help the tech stocks that we're looking at, right? But that's kind of the backbone for everything I'm about to talk about right now, okay? So before we do go any further, though, and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are none at this point because it's all kind of with the moving averages, but I will draw some horizontal support and resistance lines. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So I'm going to talk about the big, 6, give or take, maybe a couple more if I don't ramble too long. But look, I'm chaptering them all together for the simple fact that what NASDAQ does, so will all the tech stocks, right? I always call NASDAQ the ocean, all right? And we were doing some amazing things when the ocean was calm, when it was great, when it was that sustainable, lovely uptrend, right? When even from back here, right? It just was so good. And obviously we can even keep backing it up, right? But there was an immediate beautifulness that really expedited and magnified and whatever other adjective you want to use. It made a lot of these stocks just run, right? This literally gave it a good 2x from 20 to 40, right? I mean, it was beautiful. Okay, we're now at a place where the ocean looks scarier. All right, I don't know if you watch Deadliest Catch. It's a show where they go out in the middle of the Arctic in Alaskan oceans, and man, even the best, most sophisticated, the safest boat knows there are some weather conditions you just can't fish in. And you bring all your crew inside, you get your cages locked up, and you just ride out the storm. And you know what? That's what the NASDAQ's telling me right now. Okay? And if I'm thinking, right, and I kind of said it in the opening thoughts, if I'm thinking we might be heading to the 100 moving average on the NASDAQ, I think it's gonna, and I'll stay here real quick because I'm gonna say one more thing. I think it's gonna make a lot of sense that all those other ones will probably head to the 100, if not worse, right? I can see NASDAQ is basically testing the 50, and that's exactly the same thing we see with IONQ, right? We're testing what's going to happen with the 50 moving average. Are we going to use it to bounce back up to here to maybe 40? Are we going to lose it and head back down here, right? And really, that's the 50-50 I see right here, either 40 or 21. And that's a pretty wild 50-50 right there, right? And I said it not this morning, but finger. Look, the market is way too wild, and I think you need a finger on the mouse if you're making trades right now. Okay, because I'm telling you, it's like a wave in the middle of the Arctic, right? If you can at least brace yourself with it, hey, maybe you can do a little fishing and then, hey, take cover, everyone takes cover, and then go back after the wave has crashed, right? Finger on the mouse is the game, but look, there is either a 33% move up, right? Either add $10 on this thing, or there is a 33% down, basically losing $10, right? So it is just green, red, and it is also green, red, green. It's like they are both real fast, okay? I think it will dictate what NASDAQ does, okay? Next one we will look at is Rigotti. Look, I saw Rigotti do its best. A golden line is a hard one to break up. It should be a hard one to break down. But you know what? Two moving averages should be hard to break up and down. And man, this thing just gapped down all the way to here and then some, right? So Rigotti's taking a little bit of a hit. Again, this thing is just green. That could be a real scary red. And if I'm talking about it coming to the 100 moving average, that means I really think, and I'm telling you, I'm saying it here, I'm not trying to spread fear and uncertainty. I'm a short-term dude, right? I can see this coming down to 370. I could see really, that's kind of the strongest horizontal, and that's actually 312 right there, right? I can see 370 maybe being a possibility here from a high of 20, right? To me, I would love to see where this hits, where it stabilizes, and then hopefully the next sustainable uptrend will take advantage of, right? But I'm not here to fall for the hype. I'm not here to believe that this is the next sector that's going to be the next. Look, these are all random 3, 4, or 5 letters, and I think there's pros and cons with that. All right. Next one is QUBT. What am I looking for? Look, if the 50 can hold, if the NASDAQ can go up, I think this can come to 1435. If it cannot, if this goes below 850, if QUBT goes below 850, it will fall all the way down to 475, maybe even as low as 315. Hopefully that 475 holds. But yeah, I think that 315 is actually somewhat realistic here. QBTS, same comment, right? This one actually hasn't come to the 50 just yet. This one's obviously a lot higher up. I'm not quite sure if I'm willing to say this thing is still trying to hover around it, but I will say this: if this can get over 825, because again, I don't know the math behind this line, but like that's going to come down to there by Monday, right? I think 825, I'm clicking on 860 now. Yeah, I think 825, 815 could be an interesting place. And yeah, if that breaks, maybe 11 is realistic, right? But oh my goodness, if this falls below 515, really, maybe even that's the, we're below that already. I guess I'll use this for now. 505. Hey, if this goes below, but then right there, you're already at the 50 moving average. 575 has to hold. We're 2 cents above it. 575 has to hold. If that doesn't hold, I think it's going to be a fast drop to 455. Otherwise, like I said, break that 8 something, 830, 815, whatever your risk reward tolerance is, and then 1124 is going to be that way up right there. QSI, let's take a look at QSI. This was another one that was a doji. Hey, this one at least hasn't lost the 8 and the 20. This one's at least over the 20, right? I think this is actually the possibly the strongest one of the moving averages that we've at least looked at, right? I think everything else has at least been physically under it, right? Um, I I I I I I I don't I look, I'm just going to say the same thing, right? I'm trying to like take a guess and that's how 50-50 it was, right? But if NASDAQ can go up, I think the shot is a little closer to 340 than that 318 line. I think this can maybe actually though that'll come down towards 330. Maybe use this a 318 line. I don't think that's a bad line actually. If this goes below 240, it will quickly fall down to 160. All right, there is so much big 50-50 on all of these. And one more time, it is completely determined and completely hinging on one question, okay? The NASDAQ, which has not had to touch, not had to use the 50 since all the way back here in September when it was a little bit of a battle, right? This is a good, fresh, strong 50 moving average line. Is it strong enough to be a support and bounce us back up to like maybe 19.5, 19.6? I'm not sure if we'll retest 19,700, but hey, even bringing us to 19,400 would be a pretty substantial rise from this 19,100-ish that we're at right now, right? So even a little bit of support from the 50 might be able to squeeze a couple greens, make a couple of those, 50-50 question marks go on the upper side, maybe not all the way, but at least some of it, right? But NASDAQ holds the 50 and heads up, so will all the tickers that are basically on that same 50, right? NASDAQ, which is already below it, if it confirms, it will head to probably here first around 18,900 and then inevitably that 18.6 that I got there, okay? So you got to be watching that. What's next? ARQQ. This one was on the radar for a bit. Again, you see it's at the 50. There's a lot of lines here, actually, so maybe you can use some of these numbers if you're interested in this one, right? But again, 50 will either hold and bounce us back up as close to that 31.70-ish as possible. Otherwise, if this goes below $20.80, it will fall all the way down to 14 bucks, if not lower. That thing's actually at 13.70 right there, right on ARQQ. So I think the big theme here across all of these is, will the 50 hold? Will it hold for these individual ones? Will it hold for NASDAQ? Or is inevitably all of it going to keep going down? At this point, like I said, looking at the weekly at NASDAQ, I'm a bit concerned. I'm just waiting for the oceans to calm, all right? And believe me, I said it at the end of 2024. I'm still going to kind of say it in the beginning of 25. I still think this is going to be a good year. I still think as long as none of those tariff things scare us more than those financial models that smarter people than me created, right? As long as Trump actually delivers a lot of that deregulation. Look, again, I'm not here to tell you if I'm pro deregulation, if I'm against it. Maybe some sectors better than others, maybe some yes. Regardless, if he does things that are good for the business world, it's going to help the market, and that's kind of the expectation I have going into this year, right? And even if all of January is really bad, that's just a 12th of the year, right? It's a drop in the bucket of the other 11 months that hopefully will do what we're hoping for, right? Otherwise, hey, that's the beauty of technical analysis. We're here to adjust if we're wrong, right? So, I think I covered all of them. I guess I'll look at WIMI real quick. I didn't really cover WIMI just yet. Yeah, WIMI's here. Either it's coming down to $1.02, or it's gonna do its very, very best to go up to like maybe $1.60. I can see that being a maybe right there. Again, all of these are big 50-50 I don't knows, right? QMCO is another one I think we've talked about. 50 moving average, it's either going to come to 22. If it loses that 22.50, oh my gosh, that's a 13 down there, right? So watch the NASDAQ, watch the 50. I think I've covered all of them, and literally every single one of them is screaming, watch the 50 moving average, all right? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so, so much.